Welcome back. All right, another news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Tuesday, June the 24th. And we've got the draft coming up this weekend, and then we've got free agency coming up pretty quickly after that. So I do expect very busy news videos over the coming days. But starting out at the top of the board, that's how this usually works. The Buffalo Sabres, Kevin Adams, general manager for the Buffalo Sabres, has denied that there will be a buyout of Mattias Samuelsson, and he's not happy about the press reporting on it and speculation around any kind of buyout when it comes to Samuelsson, stating that the team's very happy with the player and there is no intention on their part to let said player go from the organization. However, when he was asked about Peterka, not as much information, and the speculation around Peterka has been that he doesn't want to sign long-term with Buffalo and that he may very well want to trade rather than signing with them this summer. He is a restricted free agent July the 1st. There's going to be some interest in his services from around the NHL. He's a good forward all around, and I think the most consistent forward that Buffalo had this season. Not their best. Their best would still be Tage Thompson, but I think consistency, Peterka has that in his game. So if he's on the market, there's going to be a lot of teams putting in phone calls to see what the price is going to be for Buffalo. Doug Armstrong. The discussion of whether or not a team might offer sheet Joel Hofer. Now, of course, St. Louis offer sheeted a couple of players and got them last summer in both Holloway and Broberg. However, he's saying that any offer sheets to Hofer, even if they're signed, they're not going to be successful. He's not letting the goaltender go. And I don't think we'll see any kind of offer sheet to Hofer that would be crazy in terms of an amount of money, because I don't think he's shown enough at the NHL level right now for a general manager to say, well, he's definitely going to be a starter and it's worth putting in a massive offer sheet. So it sounds like they're not worried about an offer sheet in St. Louis, and they're probably right not to worry too much about that. Torrey Krug's contract, it looks like, will probably be put on LTIR anyways, and so whatever offer sheet would come in from Hofer, for Hofer, I should say, St. Louis is in pretty good shape to match and hold on to said goaltender. Matt Martin has officially retired. He has been named special assistant to the general manager in New York. And yes, every time I hear assistant to the Dwight Schrute pops into my head. It's all the time. It's an illness I have from having watched The Office as many times as I have. And so whenever I hear special assistant to I just picture, in this case, Matt Martin now following around a general manager and just seeing what kind of chores he can do for him. So it's just it sticks in my head, and I apologize to those who may not like The Office, or at least the American version. Maybe you prefer the British version. I always prefer the American version. I know, just all the dislikes will pour in for that. Anyways, that's entertainment guy stuff. Go over on the Entertainment Guy channel and tell him. But yeah, so Matt Martin retiring means we are down to, I think it's 5 players now that don't have visors in the National Hockey League. Martin, when asked about that, basically said that he tried it, but that other enforcers, other players that played his role in the NHL weren't using them, and then he just never went back. He was more comfortable without it. So they are now required for players coming in, but at the time that Martin came in, they weren't, and of course that's always grandfathered in when they bring in safety equipment. Cam Atkinson is apparently headed to market for Tampa. Not a huge surprise there. Tampa's tight up against the cap. And this is, now we've seen Perbix, now we're seeing Atkinson. Tampa being willing to let players go in this case and try to get a little bit of cap space in the process. We'll see what Tampa does this summer too. I would be very surprised if there's not some kind of move made to maybe increase their cap flexibility, maybe change the chemistry a little bit in the locker room. Just feels like maybe there might be a little bit of a shake-up there, but we shall see. So the PWHL draft is ongoing as I'm recording this, but I wanted to highlight what's happened already. So the Sirens select Kristina Kaltonkova first overall. Kind of a bit of a surprise. I did mention in the draft preview I talked about yesterday that she was seen as a really good forward and kind of had an outside chance of going first overall. Well, she does. She goes first overall to the New York Sirens, a team that was decimated by the draft, or the expansion draft they just had. Then the Boston Fleet, they select defender Haley Wynn second. I'm sure the Fleet were excited to see her available because there were drafts that had Haley Wynn going to the Sirens first overall. And then the Sirens trade Alice Shelton to the Toronto Scepters in response for the number 3 and the number 27 picks. So adding draft picks here, and the Sirens take Casey O'Brien third. Now, Casey O'Brien, arguably the best center available in this draft, So I think the Sirens did well for themselves. So I'm wearing a Sirens jersey because there's been talk about how expansions hurt this team and free agency. Basically, Ottawa and New York are the two teams that just got destroyed. But at the draft, the Sirens being a little bit aggressive, and I think that'll work out for them. Now, of course, Vancouver and Seattle were making their first picks, so I figured in the historic perspective, we discussed that a bit. Vancouver picks forward Michelle Karvinen at number 7, and then Seattle picking 8th, they draft Jenna Buglioni. So Vancouver and Seattle continue to round out their rosters, and we'll know come this fall what everything's going to look like, and I'll do team previews, sure. It is a shame that Vancouver and Seattle don't have like official names and everything at this point, like, nicknames for their teams yet, but that's where we're at. I wanted to clarify something that has come up with the Hall of Fame video that I put out. Carey Price is on the eligible list. I even went back and double checked to make sure that on the actual Hockey Hall of Fame website where they listed who was eligible this year for the first time, whether or not Price was eligible, and he is. It's based on when his last game was played, and it's also the fact that he's not going to play again. So he is not officially retired, but that is not a disqualifier from being inducted into the Hall of Fame because they've already had players inducted who were not yet retired. The one that I knew of, and I double-checked on this, is Chris Pronger. Chris Pronger was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015. He didn't officially retire until 2017. So he was a Hall of Famer while his contract was still, I think Arizona had it at the time. But yeah, you can become inducted into the Hall of Fame if you've dealt with a career-ending injury, but you're still being paid by an NHL team. The understanding being Price isn't going to play again. So Price probably gets in next year. He's seen as a potential headliner for next year's Hall of Fame class. But yeah, you just never know. It can take quite a while. Ask Alex McGillney about it. And apparently they woke up Alex McGillney at 3 a.m. to tell him he got into the Hall, and he went right back to sleep. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.